Good morning. Welcome back to the Carter James Ranch. This is Robbie. And you know what? Today, I'm actually not at the ranch. I'm actually down at a property south of where we're at. And this is actually a property that I've leased out to a longtime rancher down here, sixth generation actually. So it's 282 acres down in Garnett, Kansas. So I was down here checking out a couple ponds that we had built. So I wanted to show you how that had turned out and some things that I'm discovering. So here's a view up on the hill. There's the cows they've got here. They actually just took some out. The gentleman who is leasing this, he wanted me to come take a look. We've got this plant here. Here's Sericea lespedeza, and we've got some breakouts of that here on the property, and so we need to kind of figure out how we're going to treat that. So this pond right here was an older pond, and it had basically been abused for many years, and it just got down to being a frog pond. And so let's see, this is September. Back in the spring, I actually had this pond dug back out and made it much bigger and deeper. And then we had like a smaller pond up there created, and we realized that this is actually spring fed. There's actually water that kind of ran all spring down this little ravine and into here. But I wanted to show you, just in 6 months time, when I was here in the spring, this had just such a nice curvature to it. It was so beautiful. And I didn't get a fence built around this pond, but I wanted to show you what cattle do to these ponds. They walk down here and their weight just, I mean, look at that. And what they do is they start to silt these ponds in, looking out into there. If you can see into the water, they just start pushing a lot of debris down in there. They do go in these ponds. Now, we made that little pond up there so the cattle could drink out of that and go in that, but I'm definitely going to need to get a fence built around this just for the longevity of the pond. But it's not as bad as I thought it would be. In the fall, this angle just shot straight down into the pond, so it's actually kind of leveled out a little bit as debris has been pushed down into the pond. But you can see that they made this dam a lot bigger over here, and they made the pond a lot deeper, which is great, which allows for the deeper the pond is, the less algae and crap will grow, so it keeps the water a lot cleaner. But we've got a good number of cattle still over here. Again, it's a pretty big property. When we had this pond built, we obviously put in an overflow deal, and then we got a spillway over on the other side of the pond. But I did want to show you, when you're building a pond, when you're building it, that's the time. When you're building the dam, that's the time to do it, to put in a waterer if you want behind the dam. This has got a valve. It's got a pipe that's down underneath the water that then goes down through the dam and then runs over behind it to that waterer. So I don't believe they're using that. They're just letting the cattle go in the ponds. But that's always a nice option to have, especially once we fence off this pond so the cattle won't be able to get to it. They'll have to either use that smaller little frog pond up there, or I'll need to turn on the valve and let pond water run down to that water. In the spring, this was all just boggy down here. It stays pretty wet down here behind the pond. But I wanted to run down here and show you. Here's the valve that you can turn it on and turn it off, and then it runs right over into this water. Oh, so you know what? Looks like they do have it on. Oh, there's a frog that just went back in there. So it looks like they do actually have it on. So we'll have to make sure we winterize that when the cattle come off here in a little bit. Another thing, when you build ponds, they dumped all the dirt from the dig out there, and it was real muddy. I'm not sure if it's the right time to spread it out then, or do you have to let it dry and then spread it out in future years. You see that's where the dam pipe comes out. Look how long this pipe is. It goes all the way down there. It comes all the way up to here. It's a pretty long pipe. So then it runs down to, there's an old well down there. There's probably standing water in that. So pretty interesting on these old properties to see what has transpired. But this is what this looks like. Brand new pond. You can see the impact of the cattle. So we're definitely going to need to get a fence built around this to make sure this does not deteriorate over the years. I've heard people say, well, let your cattle in the ponds and every 5 or 10 years you're gonna have to dig them out. Boy, I just don't know if that's worth it, especially when you spend the money to put something like this in. You make it deeper, it just becomes kind of a hassle to have to go in there and dig it out. So that was a new experience this year, pond building 101. It is unbelievable. I wish I had some of the footage from when they were out here building it. I mean, I was afraid they were going to get stuck because they were going down in there. But they made this about 3 times bigger than what it was before. And again, I'm real happy that it's deep enough where we're not getting algae floating on the top, especially when we haven't had that much rain. So that's what I wanted to show you for today. Thanks for watching the channel. Appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next video.